They say there are three people in life you never cheat on: your doctor, your mechanic, and your barber. And yet, I once made a terrible mistake. I cheated on my barber and I paid the price. We'll get to that in a minute. But first, it started like any normal weekend. I stopped by to get a fresh cleanup. Yo, what's good, man?
All good, brother, all good.
Keeping busy?
He's one of my favorite customers.
Wait, what?
He's one of my favorite customers.
Favorite customer? It's not that I don't believe him, but I should have known he was buttering me up for something. I didn't think too much of it, but shortly after getting home, I got a call. Yo, bro, what's going on?
Yeah, bro, I've been thinking and I need some new bench to match these.
Yeah, like we talked about, like your leather ball sign.
Matchable to my chair, to design the shop a little more nicer so the people them can sit and a bit more comfortable,
Okay, that makes sense. I'll come over, we'll talk about it. I'll be right there. Back at the shop I go to get my instructions.
From there to here, and another one from here to there. So can you do that for me?
With those instructions on hand, I picked up a hitchhiker on the way and headed to the only place I knew where I could get all the materials at once. Before you bust my chops in the comments below, I don't own a truck, so yes, I cheated a little. Okay, that was the easy part. Next, we needed to find some straight 2x4s, which is kind of like online dating. Looks perfect at first, but the closer you inspect it, the more you realize it's got a slight twist. A few hidden knots, and it's not as strong as it claimed to be. Okay, so he's actually not a hitchhiker. He's a close friend that not only helped me pick up all the materials, but also let me borrow his car. While we work to load the car and get the materials home, we gotta talk about some of the realest barbershop wisdom I've ever heard. Because if you've ever sat in a barber's chair, you know the conversation is just as important as the cut. Let's get into it. First things first, let's talk about barbershop etiquette. Because trust me, there are rules. Before we get into the unwritten rules of a barbershop, clearly I'm building these benches in a new location. Honestly, these benches are too big to fit in my baby-sized workshop. And on that note of ethics, look, you cannot sit in that chair and hit your barber up with, just make me look good. Nah, man, that's a great way to walk out of there with the haircut you never wanted. You gotta walk in knowing exactly what you're looking for. That's also why I like to cut all my boards of the same length all at once. No repeat measurements, and I get what I want. Now that's a woodworking tip you can take to the bank. With all the 2x4s measured and cut to length, I started to put together the frame. Similar to knowing what you want in the barbershop, I knew I needed this frame to be square and strong. So I used 2-inch washer head screws. I also countersunk these to ensure the screw head was beneath the surface of the wood. You'll see why that's important in a little bit. With the base complete, I used the cutoffs from the 2x4s to create vertical supports that will connect the frames together. While I cut and prep these pieces with pocket holes, let's talk about why barbershops are more than just haircuts. The realest conversations happen on that chair. My barber told me, always walk like you just got a fresh cut. But that's so real. Because when you get a fresh cut, you carry yourself differently. Basically, confidence isn't about how you look, it's about how you act. And sometimes, a fresh lineup is all it takes to remind you that you're that person. Now, remember when I said I once cheated on my barber? Let me tell y'all what happened. I had an urgent work trip come up, and Leather Boss, my barber, he was away to his homeland, Jamaica. I didn't have a choice, but I paid the price. My hairline was on life support. I looked like a mix between a geometry problem and a bad decision. And the worst part, my real barber saw me the following week. "So, you went somewhere else," he said. I had no words, just sat there in silence like a man facing judgment day. Have you ever cheated on your barber? Be honest. I know some of y'all have been out there experimenting. Drop a scissor emoji in the comment below if you ever had to apologize to your barber. Now back to the build. The 2x4 frame is now complete, and we need to dress this bench up a bit. And for that, we'll be using some 1/2" MDF, which we're cutting down to size. We're also going to add a ridiculous number of 2" slabs, which will add a little flair to the bench. There's actually one more surprise I'm planning for, but you gotta wait to see what that is. Alright, it's time to put this bench together. Now if measurements are correct, then this should be fairly simple. To secure the MDF to the 2x4s, I used glue and screws. I started by marking where the MDF lands on the 2x4s because I hate cleaning up glue squeeze up. And again, I'm using 2" washer head screws and ensuring that they end up beneath the surface. Why beneath the surface, you ask? Well, here's the reason. Just like screws in the 2x4s are covered by the MDF, the 2" decorative slabs that I'm adding on now will cover the screws and give it a nice clean look. And just like that, the frames were complete. Now it's time to add the real flair. I used my 40-watt diode laser and Lightburn software to cut out the letters for the Barbershop. Honestly, it's like using a traditional printer. It's so easy. If you're interested in learning more, check out my unboxing and how-to video on this Jinmitsu 40-watt diode laser. No, don't go just yet. There's plenty more drama to enjoy in this video, but I'll make sure to leave a card at the end of this video for you. With the letters cut out, I figured putting it in a straight line would be a little boring, so I added a little curve. I would love to get your opinion on this design choice. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you like this type of content, please hit that like button and be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on future projects. With both the benches complete, I used wood filler to hide all the 18 gauge nails. And with that complete, it was time to turn our attention to the cushion. You ever walked into a barbershop, sat down and realized, man, this bench is designed to punish my lower back? Well, I have to sit on this very bench in the future and I was not gonna let that happen. After cutting the 3" foam down to size, I moved to cutting the fabric. As far as cutting the fabric is concerned, don't be stingy, leave a little extra. It's better to have left a little extra than to need more later. Don't ask me how I know this, but let's just say I have a little experience. Now because our friend chose such a unique fabric, I couldn't find buttons to match. Such a dilemma. If I leave the buttons out, the bench looks a little bland. On the other hand, the only way I could match the buttons was to make them myself. Thankfully, it's not as hard as you think. You can get these kits online and I'll leave a link in the video description below to an Amazon link where you can get ones for yourself. But just a heads up, pressing these will make your thumbs sore. I personally find a woodworking clamp to be very helpful for this. Back at the shop, it's time to put this bench top together. I like to start by marking a midway line that helps me identify where these buttons will go, followed by drilling the equally spaced holes on the board for the thread to go through. Now replicate this for the foam as well as the cotton, and you're ready to glue this thing all together. Now you have a few options here for gluing it together, but I personally like to use 3M adhesive spray. Just remember, once it sticks, separating it again is going to be difficult, so go slowly and take your time. As far as the cotton top is concerned, make sure you don't have any wrinkles. Once it sticks, those wrinkles are not going away. Okay, after prepping the buttons with the thread, here's a trick I learned a long time ago. Get a piece of wood which replicates how deep you want that button to be. Now thread the button through and make a mark on the thread. Now instead of guessing how much to pull individual buttons for the right depth, it's as easy as looking at the mark on each of the buttons. This really takes the guesswork out of button positioning. Here's another tip for you to take away some more guesswork. Once you have the cloth placed on the top of your workpiece, mark the midpoint on the fabric on the backside. This will help you place all the buttons in a straight line. These little tips are what make your project look more professional. Let us know in the comments below if there's a tip that I've missed that you can help the community with. Alright, getting close to the tail end of this project. And to be honest, one of my favorites. That is, as long as you have an electrical version. The staple gun, I mean. I think I sank more than 250 staples on this project, and I can only imagine the pain if I was using a manual stapler. I think these cushions turned out great. What do you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Our final step before delivery was to get these benches painted. Now I live in Toronto and we're in the middle of winter, thus painting outdoors wasn't really an option. Haha, very funny. No, I didn't just all of a sudden grow hair. Rather, I'm blessed to have a neighbor who is a superstar when it comes to painting. She used all her tricks to make this thing look fantastic. This included using a shellac primer, hand painting the letters, and finally using this high-end spray gun to apply this satin finish, self-leveling black paint. Honestly, I could have learned a thing or two from her, but I was too busy recording for you guys. After she was done putting on 2 coats of shellac and 4 coats of paint, I got back to work putting on the leveling feet and installing the bench top using figure 8 fasteners. Just like that, the project was complete and it was time for delivery. Once again, these are too big to go up my staircase, therefore the window it is. You know what? This was not a complicated build, but the improvises I had to make were next level. People say finding a good barber is like finding a good mechanic. Once you do, you don't let them go. Because one wrong move and you're out there looking like a before picture in a hair restoration ad. But for me, it's more than that. Leather Boss isn't just my barber, he's my guy. He's been cutting my hair for years, and at this point, I'm convinced he knows my head shape better than I do. And now it's my turn to return the favor. These benches, they're not just some furniture, it's a thank you. A way to give back to the place where conversations turn into life lessons, where jokes fly like confetti, and where simple haircuts somehow makes you feel like a brand new person. So my brother, I hope you like these benches. They're built to last like our friendship.
Yes,
Welcome
sir.
back, bro.
True, boss. How you doing, man?
Go, have a fun, take it off, see what you think.
Oh, Andrea. Wow.
Give me that, give me that, give me that.
Wow. Elite.
Have a seat, have a seat.
Elite Barbershop and Salon. Yeah. How is it, bro? Oh, yeah. It's perfect. Welcome to Elite Barbershop.